he is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Welcome, everyone, to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise, ditch the outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. I'm Jay Lee, founder of Sales Ninja, and if you're tired of chasing leads, handling endless objections, and feeling like you have to convince people to buy, you're in the right place. Here, we do sales differently. We believe in positioning over pressure, where the right people lean in without the need for pushy tactics. That's the heart of the reverse glass selling method. A kingdom-driven approach built on trust, service, and true connection. Because when you lead with value, sales becomes effortless. And when you sell more, you can give more. Today's guest is someone who has built over 50 companies across industries most people never even attempt to enter. He scaled businesses from software to restaurants, from e-commerce to sanitation, and he did it starting with just $700 and a small office in New York. He's known for his relentless work ethic, sharp instincts in high-stakes negotiations, and the ability to spot opportunities where others hesitate. Beyond business, he's a classically trained chef, an actor, a guitarist, and someone who brings creativity into everything he builds. His work has funded schools, brought clean water to communities in Ghana, and created real pathways for others to build wealth and opportunity. Today, we're diving into what it takes to build, scale, and sustain success across decades, industries, and challenges. Please welcome John Cornetta. Welcome, John. How are you?
Hey, Jay. How are you?
Wow. You have accomplished a lot in a very short time.
Yeah. Not too short.
Not too short. So let's start with the early stages. So when we talked about this journey of having only $700, where did that? Take us back to that story of how you started in sales.
Yeah. So I grew up in New York in an entrepreneur family. My parents were both restaurateurs, and we moved to South Florida, where I am now, and I got kind of the itch to just do some different things, and I started a company that's called Cornetta Computer Concepts in 1991, and it was like I had a Commodore, and I had the itch, and I decided that I needed to go out on my own, and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and I packed up very little that I had, some clothes and $700, and decided to go into business. And it was not easy. It was a struggle, and I made a lot of poor choices, and I slept on a warehouse floor for a year, and just the highlights from some of that time is I would finally be able to afford a hotel. So I would take the hotel on Wednesday, and I would shower when I got there, and I would lay in a bed and watch TV. And then Thursday morning, I would take a bath, and then I was done for the week. And that was my shower for the week. And that was the upgrade from just being in the warehouse with some buckets and I built a sizable business. I owned a chain of 12 retail stores, and I owned magazines and a sanitation company. I built it all from scratch, no loans. And my parents, ended up coming and helping and actually working with me after the restaurant part of their life in their latter years. And I sold all that, and I got out of that. It was a tough industry, and I got out of that in about 2009 or 10 completely. I went through a divorce, and just from there, and I'm getting a little bit far ahead, I guess. That's when I really came online in 2009 and 10 and discovered internet marketing and said, I'll just go here now and I'll make this successful. And of course, prior to that, you mentioned it, my parents in the restaurant business, trained classical chef, and I've been a trained thespian since 5 or 6. I was in some plays, and I had several movies that were in theaters and television commercials and whatnot. So I have a pretty diverse background, but I'm talking too much.
No, not at all. So there's a lot of comments here. People are looking for a Q&A about leadership and scaling. So we may have to do another episode. People said they don't want to miss a second of this, and they want to know, I think they have a couple of questions later on that we can look at, topics of scaling without losing control. Hope to dive into deep actual strategies. And there was another question at the top. What is it saying? Been waiting for some real insights on scaling sales, and hope they cover on specific strategies for leading a growing team. That's my biggest challenge. So we will see if we can get to those. But that's interesting. Like, you have such a wide, scope of experiences, from the restaurant business, sleeping warehouses, Commodore, I don't know, the computers, Commodore, was it VIC-20s or the
64?
Commodore 64. I remember those days. Oh my gosh. Oh, those are good days. And the restaurant business, being a chef, going through a divorce, entering into internet marketing. There's a lot of experiences. How did your early wins and losses shape how you approach selling and scaling today?
Wow. It's hard for me to quantify it, but I was a small kid, and my parents were, wealthy in our little town in New York, when in fact they were upper middle class, but where we lived, they were like, so I was picked on a lot. Really? And I was bullied, and, I was the skinny kid. I graduated high school at 128 pounds. I was bullied a little bit, and I had a little, a growth spurt, and decided I'm never going to be bullied again. And whether it would be in business or whether it was going to be in life. And, but I always had really strong work ethics from my parents. I watched them work. I remember calling in sick to a job that I had, like at an ice cream parlor or something, when I was 14, and my mother knew I wasn't sick. And she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I don't feel like working today." And she just grabbed me by my hair.
What? And
said, "Get in a car," and drove me there, and told them, "He's not sick. He's lying. Here he is reporting to work." And so, I remember that. And so if I can boil down, what's been successful in my life, in business, in personal, in health, my relationship with God, all that is discipline, tiny steps, determination. The tortoise and the hare. It's really true. Just consistently doing the right thing, you come out on top. You don't get overwhelmed, and you can't look for, everyone wants that one dopamine hit, that one big thing I'm going to do. And it's not that. It's, I still, example, got up early today because we had this. I wanted to get my run in, but I'm listening to Jim Rohn. I mean, I've listened to 500 hours of Jim Rohn over my life, or Anthony Robbins, or Les Brown, or Zig Ziglar, and I'm constantly putting it in, or I'm listening to, Bible audio. It's just a never-ending, learning experience. And if you keep doing the basic disciplines in any field, you're going to win. It's just it's that curve that just is never ending. And today, I think a lot of people are watching Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and whatnot, and they're bouncing around too much, and they're looking for that next thing, and they're like, "Where's that new vitamin? Where's that new AI app? What's that new little?" No, it's not it. It's the basics. Get up, put in the work, make the phone calls, deal with staff, growth, watch your expenses, watch what you eat. You know, those are the things that it's not exciting. And I have a business partner right now for the last 2 years who is really, really smart, hardest worker. I've had good business partners, but never someone that I click so much with. And I do my best to mentor him. He's about 20 years younger than me. And the only thing that is not perfect, and man, this guy's like hard for people to keep up with him. The one thing is I got to keep snapping back to 3 feet from gold. 3 feet from gold. Don't get distracted. It's not fun. It's not sexy. You may not have the Instagram posts about it, but momentum and discipline.
I love that you have a business partner who's 20 years younger than you, who is an incredibly hard worker, but you're teaching and mentoring the lessons that, experience and life and hard lessons can only teach you. Some people never get that opportunity because they've lived, let's call it an easier life because of their parents trying to do the best for them. And I don't know if this is a parenting question or a sales question, maybe a bit of both. How do you provide an environment where, either your sales team or your business partner or even kids have not experienced that kind of hardship just because their environment is a little bit, let's say, they're better off, if that makes sense. But it sounds like the hardships that you've gone through, from your mom dragging you by the hair at 14, telling your boss that you're lying and you're not sick, are some of the best learned lessons, even though they're painful.
Yeah, and I do my best to share them with my partner and with my children. I have 3 and a grandchild. You've got to want it at some point. My father was, I can quote him like the sayings that came out of my father. I need to write a book, what father said, but it takes, the person has to still, my mother could have dragged me by the hair. My father could have, told me the things that he's told me over and over again in his special way. And you still have to have that drive. And for example, I've had lots of people that I've taught, spoken on stages, created courses, and that doesn't work. Yes, it works. A student has to be ready. Chris, for example, my business partner now, is like, when I started working with him, I was like, oh my God, this guy's a sponge. He wants to learn. He's always asking me questions, and he can run circles around anybody. He doesn't need me, but he's realizing that he can take 20 years of lessons or 30 years of lessons and boil them down. And as far as my kids are concerned, I did the smartest thing I think, any parent should do. And I homeschool my kids.
You do?
Yeah. Yeah. I have one who's fully grown, who's a teacher, by the way.
Wow.
And I have a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old. And my eldest is 39. And
wow.
I homeschooled them. So.
You homeschooled all of them?
No, my daughter, Dominique, I didn't have the opportunity or the ability. I was 22 when she was born, and I was into that whole, got to build a business, got to build this company, got to do this stuff. I've got to be on top of the world. And I didn't, unfortunately, have the time, and we lived separately. It was, we weren't together, her mom.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that opportunity. She went through, she was the first person in my entire family to go to college and graduate. And I was happy I was able to fund that. I never did. I took one class, one semester, and that was enough for me.
Really?
20th century American diplomacy, and wanted to be president, and said, this is not for me. I'm gonna, not go to school. But my 2 kids, it happened when they both went to kindergarten. Actually, my daughter Sophia did not. I homeschooled them, but during COVID, especially, they were playing around with it. And so for the last 7 years or so, I use a great company that I work with. I'll plug them. It's not an affiliate thing. It's called Acellus, and it's interactive learning in that if you and I were both starting right now in the 10th grade, and we were in math or third grade, and it was a multiplication problem, and I got it right, I would advance into more advanced multiplication, where if you got the multiplication wrong, they would go another way to get your multiplication skills strong. So no two people take the same class. It's not a live person. It's all video based, but it's tens of thousands of videos that direct a unique path to the user based on their skill sets, based on their weaknesses and their strengths. And my daughter Sophia, skipped grade twice already. Yeah, so she is now going in. She's 11 years old, and she's going into 7th grade, and she skipped first. She could be done with 8th grade right now, but she decided, do you want 6 months off, Sophia? And she said, I really would, Dad. I'd like to ride horses. And so she just has 6 months off, and she could have been done with 7th and been in high school probably next year at 11 years old.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that. What is that called? Acellus? How do you spell that?
Acellus, Accelus, I think.
Now, and I'm just saying this out loud in real time, but I feel like we need that for business.
Yeah, that would be great, right? Yeah, where it would direct your course based on your weaknesses and your strengths.
Yeah, because usually it's a cookie cutter method, and it doesn't usually work because everyone thinks differently, learns differently. And with that kind of choose your own adventure or based on your strengths and weaknesses, that I think is an incredibly powerful approach that can really help and get results.
I love that. That's a great idea. And I would add something into that, and that's some type of accountability, built in with that, because honestly, human nature is to be lazy. Human nature is to take the path of least resistance. And people, me included, I'm a person, want to, what's the shortcut? What's the Cliff Note version? How can I get from A to, B quicker? And so some accountability built in there. I don't know why my brain is going this way, Jay, but there was a certain gentleman, and he was always complaining. I would notice he would follow myself and several other marketers, and he would say, I tried your course and it doesn't work. And, it works for you. But I called him out one time, and I said, the funny thing, the thing that remains the same through all the courses and all the products that you talked about is you. You're the only constant. And that there's not one course or one product online that you can't get one piece of gold out of. It may not be the best.
Yeah.
It may have been overhyped. It may have been over marketed and all that stuff. But if you can just find one nugget and take it and have that attitude and go to the next one and go to the next book or the next audio or the next video or the next life experience, and just and say, if I got one, I win. That whole mentality it opens the world up for you. And too many people, I did it. I'm rambling, but when I was doing e-commerce a lot, I was selling at one point. I think the first year I did 1.7 million in t-shirt sales.
What?
After that, I was doing 50,000 a day in sneaker sales.
What?
Yeah, on Facebook. And actually, my current partner Chris was doing the same thing at the same time. I started with a guy, Frank Salinas, who we were doing.
Oh, I know Frank Salinas.
Do you know Frank? Well, Frank and I are very good friends. We launched some software together. We both started doing the t-shirts together.
Oh my gosh.
And if you ever seen a name on someone's t-shirt where it has your family name or a thing, it was way more popular a few years ago. Frank actually was the guy who came up with that and then shared it with everybody. They all ran to it. But the point is, Frank and I had, it was just 26 or 13, I forget the actual number, losers in a row. And we finally said, hey, we're going to just not do this together. We'll do it separately. And we had maybe 10 more losers. And then it was just winner, 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 winner. And most people, they don't want to get past those losers because it's really a loss. Nothing is really a loss if you just learn one thing, take that nugget, put it in the bank. It all comes down to that.
Okay, I have to segue and address, and that's great. And I had Frank on the podcast, and he was telling me about his helicopter crash with his girlfriend and crazy stuff. So also another man of faith. So you rebuilt your life through discipline and consistency, and I hear you say that throughout. Your parents had raised you up in a great way, and I know you've gone through a transformation with your body, because I watched your stories, and you are hustling and grinding, and you're putting your body to the max test, from the workouts to the saunas to the plunges. Tell us about what got you to this point of having this or getting to this physical transformation, because I think it's pretty astounding.
So, I told you I was this little skinny kid, and then I went through a growth a spurt, and I was always either really out of shape or really in shape for most of my adult life. I just, where I got comfortable, I'd let it go. I used alcohol and drugs, and over the course of my life, and I've been, a rock star, and all that other stuff. And I started at 50. I had my daughter Sophia.
Wow.
And she's now almost 12. I'll be 62 this.
You look amazing. Wow.
I'll be 62 this summer.
Yeah.
And when I had her, I started really contemplating mortality. And I have a great, relationship with Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I'll throw that out there. If it offends anybody, I'm sorry, but not sorry. and it wasn't a fear of death. It was fear of not having the amount of time I could have with Sophia that I had with John and Dominique. And so I started studying longevity and things like that, but still I wasn't taking it seriously. And I ended up getting at one point, I was 325 pounds when I was 50. And I got down to 225 in great shape. And then I let it climb back up again. And about last March, I had gone to New York to my grandson's baptism. And on the flight home, I kind of felt a little weird. And the next 2 days, I had pain in my side. And on the third day, it was so bad. I went to my doctor, and he's right across from the hospital. He looked at me for 5 minutes and said, "Don't drive, leave your car here, walk into the emergency right now. Your appendix is ruptured."
Wow.
And I walked around for 3 days with a ruptured appendix. And I spent 9 days in the hospital on ice chips. And I had like a 35 to 40% chance of dying while I was in there. Had the surgery. That was 12 months ago. When I got out of the hospital, I was 272 pounds after being on ice chips for 9 days. And I said, that's it. I know what it takes. I have the discipline. I have the knowledge because I'd studied this and done, worked out my entire life. So I took the first 4 or 5 months was really nothing more than just walking down to the mailbox and back, starting to change my diet a little bit. And then momentum really took over. Today I'm 195 pounds, and
that is incredible.
I work out 6 days a week. I walk 15,000 steps a day. I sauna, I cold plunge, I'm peptides and red lights. And I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of people in the longevity space through marketing, and people that are pretty smart and taught me. But the thing is, you have to apply it. And I went through a divorce again. So I've had 2 divorces too. So there's no excuses. I've had, health issues. I've had both my parents die. I've had plenty of tragedy, and it's either going to be, your message, or it's going to destroy you. I've chosen not to allow anything to destroy me, whether it's financially, physically, spiritually, emotionally. I'm going to take a lesson from it and go to the next step and go to the next step. I'm breathing. God wants me here for a reason.
Wow. Wow. So you lost, according to the numbers you've given me, from 325 to 195. That's 130 pounds. That's a whole person. That's the high school John Cornetta, 128 pounds.
Yeah, there's some before and after pictures on my Facebook profile. I played football, flag football with Dan Marino, and I was like 325 pounds at the time. It was just, I couldn't even believe it. But so I've had that. Yeah. I want to know how to lose weight. Let me know. You want to know how to gain weight? Let me know. I got them both down fat. I have the extremes.
Is that muscle weight, or is that just from eating poorly for gaining weight?
Oh no, it was eating poorly. It was eating poorly, no movement. No, but muscle weight. Yeah, obviously, I have some muscle on me. I train like a madman, and 200 grams of protein a day intake, and my diet's impeccable because I'm a chef, and I know I have the knowledge. So. My life's pretty boring though, Jay. Like if people, they're like, "Oh, that must be great." Really, it's like Groundhog Day. Like I don't care. I do the disciplines every single day, and know how to let my hair down sometimes.
Amazing. Let's talk about startup challenges and scaling strategies, because you're a specialist and expert in the lead gen space, and most business owners that I talk to want to hear more about how they can fix that in their business. So what's the first thing that you would fix in a business that isn't generating consistent sales?
Well, it's my very good friend, Carl Bryan, has said this to me more than one time. And that people automatically, and he's right, people automatically go to, I need to add Facebook ads. I need to get LinkedIn going. I need to get more people coming in the door. No. That is not where you start. So if your sales, if you have 5 people in a week or a month or a year come through your, let's call it a funnel or your front door of your business, you have, and you're not making sales, having 500 doesn't mean you're going to make sales.
Mm-hmm.
It means, motivate an idiot. You got to motivate an idiot. You got to work on that. What's your product? Is it compelling? Does it solve a problem? Do people want it? Maybe it's that. I would get everything down pat before adding fuel to the fire, because what can happen is most people, like individual entrepreneurs, they don't know what their books are like. They don't have a profit and loss statement. They don't know if they're making money or not. So what do? They just throw more money on top, and they go, well, now I have all these visitors, but I lost $8,000 last month. So I would start with the basics, which not a lot of people want to do.
Yeah.
What's your metrics? What's your sales conversion? What's, what are your expenses? What does it actually cost you to obtain a lead? And what does that lead then provide you by way of finances? So I don't know if I just skirted that a little or made it ugly, because it's not, I wrote nothing down here. I'm coming from, as my good friend, and people don't want to hear that sometimes. They want to hear that, again, like the magic bullet. Oh yeah, just go do this.
No, you're right. And I think that's the tortoise in the hare, right? People don't like to hear what's, the consistent boring strokes each day, like whether it's working out, whether it's showing up, whether it's, getting your product and service right. It's the basics, right? What's your metrics? What's your cost per lead? What's your cost per acquisition? Is your product compelling? Does it solve a problem? So I know that you are a data-driven performance expert. And I know that from the message that you sent me recently that you are generating a lot of leads. Can we go through some math, nerd out on some numbers in terms of, KPIs for scaling, because you're obviously generating a lot of revenue for companies. What could it look like, let's say from 0 to 1 million, and then 1 million to, 10 million plus, in terms of what the metrics should look like? Again, I don't know what kind of source of lead generation you're doing, whether it's email marketing or social media or paid ads, whichever one, you feel most comfortable talking about.
Well, it's all of the above at this point. We're not, we're a huge company in the one that I run now, numbers wise, but not people wise. There's about 10 of us. Wow. With only, 4 being in the United States and the rest, being overseas. People have worked for me for a long time, but each one of them is different. But I do have a philosophy, and the philosophy is breaking even breaking even on media campaigns, whether they be social media, whether they be television, whether they be a solo ad purchase, a drop, whatever it might be, breaking even is a win. And people I have to have a 300% ROI. I have to have a, whatever. No. Breaking even is a win, because now what you have is you have a customer or you have a sale that you can go back to again and again. And people don't count the lifetime value of that, the lifetime value of the eyeball. If I can break even in a business, that's only going to last so long. Now, same is true. If I'm losing even a penny, you're going to sink. But if I'm gaining a penny, I want to scale. Now, within that framework, yes, I want to use the 80-20 rule, and I want to take 80% of my effort and follow on those 20% that are the most profitable. True. But I think far too often people are building a business and they say, I can't make any money. I'm just breaking even. Oh, did you get a customer name? Yeah. Did you have their email now? Yeah. So you can contact them again. And now they already have your product, so they know, like, and trust you. So now you're building a pyramid. And I'm not pyramid in the way of an MLM, but an actual pyramid in Egypt and Mexico, right? Where you're building this foundation. Not sexy at all. But boy, when you get to that top, so it's hard for me to say what are exact KPIs, and because each one of them is different. So it's hard to pin that, and each business is different. Like, listen, I have some clients. We have some clients that'll pay us $500 for a lead, $500. Where there are other industries that can't pay $1 or $2, but they're both profitable because it takes a lot more to generate that $500 prospect. I'll give you an example. Tort cases. There's a new lawsuit for women who have had a mesh implanted after their childbirth in their uterus. I made that up, okay, but that's out there. But that's out there. The attorneys in that space will pay $500 or $1,000 for any woman who's had that procedure. So that's on a higher level. All the way down to, say, internet marketing or sweepstakes or make money online. Somewhere in $1 to $3 people will be willing to pay. But there are how many more people that might be interested in making money online than there are that had the mesh implanted after their thing. So it's all depends on which vertical, which business, are they online, are they offline? But I'm happy to get into any details because I've had experience both off and online. I've had 300 employees at one time, and I do 10 times that amount of business with just 10 now. And that's not because of AI either. We haven't even counted for that yet.
Okay. So I know you mentioned that you help provide tens of thousands of leads for auto insurance per day in one vertical. And you guys send millions of messages, SMS messages a day to generate millions of leads. So can you expand a little bit more on that? Because I think people that I'm talking to, they're like, I'm getting like 5 leads a month or whatever, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to use the word and I don't want to disrespect my business partner, but it gets confusing. I and we. So if you're watching this, Chris, I love you. Yeah. I send about 2 million SMS messages a day, probably 1 million emails a day.
What?
And our social media campaigns are next level. Full-time people, actually, there's 2 that are just, we don't run an ad. We run 50 ads with every single thing split tested across, we don't run a video. We run 8 videos, 12 videos, minor tweaks in each one. But yeah, we, in the auto insurance niche, and this is not the only niche that we do about 15,000 leads a day. Now, these aren't clicks. These are people that have actually went through a 20-page survey and made it all the way through. Then it's a lead. They've answered, are they a homeowner? Do they own a car? What kind of car? What state they live in? Had they had an accident before? Are they currently insured? like we're not just talking about, oh, here's the lead. These are 15,000 people who have gone through the ringers, and so we're paid handsomely for those. But to do that, you're looking at about 15% conversion rate, which most people, it's awful. I have 30%. Well, good for you. I went to the bank the other day and I tried to deposit some ROI and some conversion rate, and they said, sorry, we just take cash. So it's all about scaling the cash, not scaling the ROI and scaling that. But yeah, we do about 15,000, and that we do about probably another 10,000 in other verticals a day. And that's what we do. We sell qualified leads for various verticals, and we can scale any vertical. Like Chris and I, again, since 2009, have been generating, whether it be for e-com or for info products. We've been doing it. We know how to scale, and we do it well.
That's mind blowing. I mean, wow. Any vertical, that's quite the claim too.
Yeah. Well, let me give a little asterisk to that.
Yeah.
As long as we can make it profitable. I'm not saying we can make it profitable. Say hi, Mango.
Hey, Mango?
Yeah, Mango.
It's so cute. I thought it was a doll.
Not that we can make it profitable. If we can't, we bail and we go on to the next. That's the other thing. Like we're not completely sold. Like, oh my God, we have to. This has got to work. This is my everything. I love roses, and if I can't make it selling rose garden manuals, I'm not going to do this. We don't care about it. We're more interested in what can we scale, what can we work. But any vertical.
Okay. So if people are listening and watching this, who is the ideal client? And like, because people are watching and saying, am I the right fit for working with John, who you lead a high volume lead generation company? You can generate, thousands of leads, if not more, daily. Who is a person that you're looking for, and they want to know, can I work with John? What would they need to look for in terms of, am I a right fit?
So usually it's very large companies that we work with. We don't work with. Look, me personally, I'm a giver, and I'm happy to give and help anybody, and with the knowledge of it. We don't really work with local businesses, and we don't. Our budgets, they need to be very, very high, and we're not an advertising agency. We're simply, we can make phones ring. We were doing about 5,000 inbound calls a day that we were generating from our ads for different verticals. And we can fill forms. So sorry, I might hurt my finger. You might see that Band-Aid.
Oh no, what happened?
I just hit it.
Ouch.
I cut it about a week ago, and it's still infected, but I just nicked it right now while I was talking.
Ouch.
I just saw that look on my face like I ate a lemon.
Yeah.
So, we don't, again, bigger companies, things like that, we don't do like what I used to do. I used to sell traffic. I told you that's how this started. And I used to sell that. We don't do that anymore. But to work with us now really needs to have someone that has an offer dialed in already. We don't want to dial in your offer. And that it's working, and you want to throw gasoline at the most intense level, where if we can scale something to 2,000 or 3,000 leads a day, then we're interested. Depending on the amount that we're being paid for that lead. Again, if it's that $500 a lead thing, well, maybe we only got to do 15 or 25 leads a day. But in the most part, we're looking to scale things that I'm going to 5X this company next year, and we're pretty big now. And I already know, like, it's not like I'm saying, rah, I'm going to 5X. No, I know. I know the metrics. I know the data. It's going to 5X, if not 10.
Wow. Okay. So, and what kind of, I don't know if you can say this, and if you don't need to, don't, I'm thinking like large companies, if you can give us, like, is it a certain amount of ARR, some certain number of employees, and what kind of budget are they looking to, is it, can you give some sort of idea so that,
so let's just say, I'm trying to think of a niche here.
Like a call center.
Yeah, sure. If you had a call center and you want your phones to light up, we can make them light up. The problem is, this is a funny thing. We just stopped doing that because everybody can talk a big game. They say, hey, we'll take 500 calls a day. We send 500 and 82 get picked up. And well, people are out to lunch and they're, and so we love form fills because we're in control of it, and form fills are 24 hours a day. So some people that are listening here, what's that mean, John? Talking, whatever here, Latin. So a form fill would mean someone enters their information, we get paid. But most of the time, that is the person is qualified along the way. Anybody fill out their email address. How many times did you do that last week? But to qualify that lead along the way makes the lead both more valuable for you as the buyer, and it makes it better for us because we're giving you what you want. You want more of that, and we're charging more because we've done the pre-qualification. So when, for example, right now, some of our clients, I'm not saying they are our clients, might be Geico, Allstate, and customers that have huge budgets. But above and beyond that, companies like that own national things like heating and air, HVAC, windows, roofing. Those are all verticals that we currently do, and we're scaling. And they're regional companies that say, "Hey, I'd love to have 500 or 1,000 leads a day in that vertical. Let me know."
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So boy, oh boy, that solution can be used for like all these different companies, roofing, like large companies, plumbing, heating and air. Like there's no limits.
No limit. And I can tell you that's not going away because of AI. There's going to be plumbers and roofers and electricians and windows and insurance needs and all of those things. And so, I know it's not as sexy. I mean, as an internet marketer for years, I wanted my face out there. I'm going to do a video, and I created several products. I had a Groove with my partner Mike Filsame and Matt. And it's sexy, it's fun. This is not as sexy, but it's like real world, making money. And so some people want to, I don't know, a lot of people want that YouTube channel, that Instagram life, and they want to sell something that makes them famous. And that's, I can't help that anymore. I used to be able to help with that because it was, we could do 500 clicks or something, but not anymore. It's just high volume.
When we talk about leadership and team building, what do you look for in a salesperson who can actually help grow and scale a company?
Yeah, so I've hired lots and lots of salespeople, men and women, over the course of my life so far. And it's obvious to say that most salespeople need to are on commission of some sort, and so they bring home their paycheck. They're not just getting a paycheck; they're incentivized in some way. I don't know if I can just take this just for a salesperson, but I could take this for someone that I would hire anywhere on my team, and that I do. And that is, you want a person who could go into business tomorrow and do it. And for some reason they're not. And I always look for that. And when I ask them the reason, why aren't you doing it yourself? They say, I know I could. And you believe them, they're confident. But I don't want to be a business owner. I do need that stability. I want that time off with my wife. I don't want somebody working 24 hours that hates it. So when I have that, when I could find that person that could come and compete with me, but would just rather be a part of something, that's cog number one. Number two is they've got to be in line with my vision, which is never ending growth. They've got to want to get better, make more money, things like that. And then the ultimate test for me back in the day when it was all offline was, maybe you'll get a kick out of this, was the interview process was like this. And I would say, how'd you get here today? And I'd say, well, I drove. I said, well, let's go out to your car. What do you mean? She said, guys, come on, just come outside. And I looked at their car. If their car was a mess, I wouldn't hire them.
Wow.
and I'd say, you can't keep your car clean and you can't keep your car organized. You think I'm going to bring you into my company? So go clean your car, get it together. And if they come back after cleaning their car, now I got somebody I can work with. So.
Ooh, what I love is that you're giving them that grace, that second chance.
Absolutely.
Versus like, hey, you didn't make the cut because your car wasn't clean. So how could you actually clean up my business?
No, they actually, it's even better. They took action. They recognize it. They take action, and they know I'm going to come look at it again in 6 weeks. Not something you can just hide.
Now, here's a little bit of an opposite question: is in terms of sales and leadership, what are mistakes that limit a company's ability to grow revenue?
Repeat that one more time.
So instead of like what you're looking for in terms of growing a scaling company and the characteristics, it's kind of like, what mistakes limits a company's ability with that salesperson or that leader in the company? What attributes or characteristics or actions or inactions are these sales leaders making that are limiting the growth in your revenue?
Well, I think it all comes back to the person in charge, him or her. They've got to be able to do every single job in the company. Any restaurant that I owned, any movie that I was in, any business that I've started, I've learned everything. I know Facebook ads. I'm not on it today as I was 8 years ago, but they have to know everything, and they have to not rely on that salesperson and not rely on those other people. They have to be able to know that I could fire you at any time and do your job. I'll do it just as good, if not better. So I think that edge has to always be there, or you're really reliant on someone that kind of, can make or break your business. I also think, again, that people that scale is a cool word. Got to scale sales, got to scale. That it's the unsexy work that has to get done first. And that I think people go to scale too soon and it breaks. And, if you get a bunch of new leads, a bunch of new prospects, and they're not serviced, it costs so much more to get a new customer than it does to keep that same customer buying from you over and over again. And all I got to do is say Amazon. I'll pay more. I know the app. It's easy. It's going to show up the next day. There's no question. If I want a refund, I get it. That's just one. I mean, I can name 100 examples of that. So I think the mistake people make is they scale too soon. They attempt to scale too soon, and they don't have the infrastructure to make their customer. You're always going to have to scale because you're not getting repeat customers.
Now, I know you also said you're a man of faith, and in terms of purpose and why, how does faith influence how you approach sales and business growth?
There's been a hang up in my life, and it's been a tough conflict, both biblically and not wanting to leave people behind. I've self-sabotaged myself and held myself back out of guilt. And after a long walk with God over many years, and I've been baptized twice. I grew up a Catholic and Christian now, similar, not exactly the same. I finally realized that God is my father, and I know that he is. I looked to my children and I asked them, what do you want? Want to go to Disney? Want to go on a cruise? What can I do for you, man? Come on, let's go. Let's go to the gym. Let's do something. And I want to give them, and how much more would my heavenly father want to give me? So I stopped looking at it as guilt and how much more can I give? What can I give back? I can never outgive God, man. I just wrote a check this morning for another water well in Ghana, and I can never, I know it's coming back. It just happens. I don't know why it happens or how it happens. I don't care. But I know it's the only place in the Bible where God actually says, test me. Only place in Malachi. And it says, test me, and I will flood you. Just tithe. And for me personally, tithing means more than just going and give to a church. It means giving back to humanity, helping in some way mentoring people. All of that is a way to tithe. God will give it back, man, so many times over. It's just not even a question. It's, to me, people say, well, that's ridiculous. I say, well, what's more ridiculous is to think that it doesn't.
I love that. I love your, faith and even your theology, because a lot of people, even Christians, do not give their tithes because they're holding tightly, and it's like, God is saying, if you give what you have, he's like, with his hands behind his back, I can give you anything and everything. But, like that kid who's holding on to that favorite toy or that favorite doll, they don't want to give it up when, God can give you, 100 dolls or 100 toys. But I love that, your definition of tithe is more than just giving to the church, which a lot of people do not do. I was a pastor for 10 years. But giving to people and giving time, that's generous. And how do you do that? How do you like, you're such a busy guy. You've run 50 companies. You've got 3 children. How do you give time, and how do you give to people?
All right. Well, I don't run 50 anymore. I've started 50 over the course.
Yeah.
A lot of them were failures. So let's get that out of the way. You asked me to do this. I have no agenda. I have nothing to sell.
Yeah.
To me, I'm giving right now as best I can, And I just try to take every moment and teach and help anybody that I can. Even if I'm in the gym and I see somebody's form, if they want help, I'm there to give it. You got to be careful. I'll give you another example. I was helping someone a little bit, and I was giving them encouragement, and they said, hey, would you watch this 10-minute video? And I said, honestly, I can't. I have my schedule today. And they got a little insulted by that. And so you got to be careful. You have to make time you put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Really important. And again, the work that I do with a Catholic charity in Africa, that's easy, right? I'm writing a check, and occasionally I've had some friends, several Facebook friends, pitch in and help out there. And so I'm a shortcoming on being as good of a Christian as I can be. And but I'm redeemed, and it's not my debt to pay. Jesus already paid it for me. So I'm good.
Amen. So last question before we go into the lightning round, in terms of the future, in terms of the vision, in terms of industry trends, where do you see some of the biggest opportunities for sales, for scaling, and with the industry and AI changing so rapidly, and people, some of them losing their jobs, careers, vocations, and kind of being confused as to, now what do I do? Do I work for someone? Do I learn a skill set? What do you see? Because someone who's been around for decades and kind of adopted and adapted, what are some of the biggest opportunities you see?
I love AI, and I use it. And I know that recently the first single entrepreneur billion-dollar company was created by one man with AI. I think that AI is great, and I do use it in my life. And I can't tell you how it's going to change the world completely, because I don't think anyone knows exactly. I will say that, God, I just sound like I'm repeating myself in some way, and I apologize for that. But you having the basics and you worrying about the fundamentals of health, wealth, spirituality, finances, if you're spending less than you're making and you're investing it, if you're eating less, than the calories that you're burning and so on, everything else will take care of itself. I don't think anyone actually has the answer to where it's going. So I would be a liar to say that, but I do know this. It's going to come. It's going to come quick, and just ride the way. Like, I had a conversation with my friend Mike Filsame.
Okay.
Probably heard of him.
Yeah.
And we were just talking the other day about the new FDA trial on the longevity pill by Dr. David Sinclair out of Harvard, where, very, very more than likely within the next 5-10 years max, they're going to double lifespan with one pill. It's in human clinical trials right now.
What?
Started 3 weeks ago. Yeah. And they've already proved this in monkeys. They've already proved this now in mice. And it's just a matter of turning a protein on and a protein off. And it's now in human clinical trials. And so we were talking about paycheck for everybody, and how, it kind of looked like communism, but it's not. And we were talking about that, and both of us stopped each other, and we were like, well, we don't care. You know why? Because whatever it is, we're going to figure it out. Like, that's the mentality that you need to have right now. Oh, well, I'm watching all the bookkeepers getting, replaced by AI. I'm a bookkeeper. I'm watching the school teachers get replaced. No. The attitude is, I don't care. Whatever happens, you're not strong enough to control it. Only God is. So I'm going to go with the flow no matter what. I'm a chameleon. I've changed myself so many times, and you can too. The problem is people get stuck in their head and say, I've got to figure this out. AI is going to change everything. Let me panic. And for the next 6 months, live panicked and afraid. Fear not. I mean, I'm telling you, God's got you, and just keep plugging along and you'll be fine.
Amen. So here's a lightning round as we end off the podcast. And then I have one question that I ask all my guests with regards to, what does it mean to sell more, to give more, in your opinion? But the lightning round is just the first thing that comes to your mind, and just say the response that comes quickest. Fastest way to increase revenue in a business today?
Nail the basics.
One sales skill that every entrepreneur must master?
Finding out what you're, God, I get that. I'm sorry, that's not lightning. I always walk into a room, a relationship, or a sale, and honestly, people say this, but what can I give? What can I do for that person? And the sale takes care of itself.
Love it. Scale first or optimize first?
Optimize.
One habit that directly impacts your ability to generate revenue?
Consistency and discipline.
Best advice you received about sales or scaling?
Best advice. Best advice I've ever received. I received so much from so many different people. Matt Basak. It's either a hell yes or it's a hell no.
Nice. And what does selling more to give more, I mean, clearly you live this out, mean to you?
I have a whiteboard right here off to the right. And I wrote a new goal on there, and it's not being greedy. It says, have so much money that money doesn't matter. And what that means is, go build that water well, go build that school, go give someone the gift, pay for someone else's mortgage, get their college education handled, take care of your family where it doesn't matter. Take the limitations off of God, take the limitations off that.
I have a question on top of that, because where people are living, like you said, in fear and maybe in famine with regards to their wallets or their bank accounts, how do they give, like maybe the poor widow's offering, how do they give when they're having trouble providing for their own families?
Yeah, so it takes a lot of faith. And here's something that I think is very, very simple. People are working hard. There are people that are having a very tough time, and they're working 2 jobs and all of those things. But I would make a list of all of the things you do that are not productive, whether that be Netflix binging, whatever it might be, and just take that time and give that time, not money. Go give that 30 minutes. Go down to the old age home and ask, who here hasn't had a visitor in 2 months? Go visit with somebody for 30 minutes. Go down to the synagogue or to the church and say, hey, well, can I volunteer for 30 minutes? That moment of honestly being bigger than yourself, like being bigger and giving of your time, how much more valuable is that than giving $10 or going and helping out a charity, but giving of yourself and giving of your time? Because there are things that you're doing right now, I can guarantee you, are not productive and that are just, they're just counterproductive, that you could trade some of that time just a little bit and give back to mankind.
I love it. And that brings us to a wrap. Guys, everyone, thank you for tuning into the Sales Ninja Show podcast. Now go apply what you learned from John Cornetta. There's a lot of lessons here, a lot of gold nuggets, consistency, discipline. I'm just, envisioning that 14-year-old kid who got his hair pulled from his mom, and, painful at the time, but lessons learned later, to apply what you learned in your next sales conversation, in scaling and consulting companies and practice leading with clarity, calm, and service. If you're ready to master faith-driven sales psychology and close high-ticket deals with integrity, you can head over to gosalesninja.com and book a free audit call to see how we can find the hidden gold in your business. We're here to help you sell with confidence and serve from a place of purpose, like John said, to give first and give high value. Remember, your work is stewardship. Keep your eyes on God. Stay faithful in the small steps, and we will see you in the next episode. John, thank you so much. You're amazing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
God bless.
God bless.
Hey, thank you so much.